Hey everyone, today we will be going over my top 5 tips for if you're looking to start a yoga practice at a studio or you're looking to branch out and go to a new studio. So whether this is your first time or you haven't really been to any others and you're looking to branch out, these are my top 5 tips for you today. My number 5 tip for you is research the studio. So going online, checking out perhaps the style of the studio, whether or not it's a yoga studio that offers different types of yoga classes, or it's an aerial yoga studio or a hot yoga studio, is something that you would definitely like to know prior to arriving at the studio. It's also great to get a feel for the atmosphere as well as the different teachers or teacher that you may be taking. So I always like to go on, do a little bit of research. Even when I'm looking to teach at a studio, I'll go practice there a few times and check out the atmosphere to see if it's a good fit for myself. This brings me to my number 4 tip, and that is research the teachers and the classes. So every teacher has their own little style, and it's good to research them and the type of class that they're teaching. You may meet a teacher somewhere, really fall in love with them, and go to take one of their classes, and they don't teach a style that is right for you. Perhaps they teach in advance when you're a beginner. It's good to research the classes, see what the classes are, what they offer, and if they're a good fit for you right here in this moment in your practice at this time. So maybe you're not ready for inversions yet. It's good to know that prior to getting to a class that halfway through the flow is going to have you on a handstand. If it's perhaps one that is a hot studio, some have hot classes, but they're not a hot studio, which means they will crank it up in there in your room with the heat. So just because you researched a studio doesn't mean that you shouldn't research the classes. I like to still look at them. You could still find yourself in a situation you don't want to be in, i.e. thinking that you're going to a regular flow, and in fact you should have a towel because it is quite hot in there. This brings me to my number 3 tip, and that is after you research the studio and research the classes, you should look into what is recommended that you bring. So every studio is a little different. Some will have, props, blocks, blankets, bolsters, and mats for you to borrow. Some will recommend to make sure that you bring your own mat. Especially hot yoga studios will definitely want you to bring your own towel. Most of the time, you should want to bring your own towel. They're pretty sticky, and they have a special grip. But it's good to know that ahead of time, because also some of them will charge you a rental fee and cleaning fee to borrow their mats. It's just something to look into, to know ahead of time prior to arrival so that you can be ready for it. Or ask a friend of yours if you can just borrow a mat of theirs or something if you don't want to invest in one just yet. Hey, Coco. My number 2 tip for you is to look into, once you get there, the studio etiquette. So it's kind of hard to get the full rundown of it prior to arrival, but once you arrive, it's pretty easy. I usually will look at the outside first before I go in. Some studios will have a bit of direction before you even arrive. I've had some studios that say, please, no talking when you first arrive into the studio, and leave your shoes immediately at the front door. It's definitely good to know before you come busting through. Some will request that you turn your cell phones completely off or that you lock them away in a cubby. Some have no talking within the studio space, but there is like a registration space that you are able to speak in. So it is good to know the studio's etiquette and how they would prefer you to act when you get there. You know, you want to be mindful of that space and of those students. So, you know, we want to treat everyone with respect and therefore receive it in return. And that brings me to my number one tip for you, and that is arrive early and look around the studio, see how everyone else is setting up, kind of get a feel for that space. Now you've researched it, it seemed like something you liked, the class seemed like something you liked, you've gone into all of this. Now take the time to really look around and soak this space up and see how you feel in it and if you still feel great about it. And then if you are able to see if you cannot just meet with the teacher. I know when I'm teaching, if I have new students that come, I generally like to speak with them. I like to do whatever I can to make them feel comfortable. So don't feel intimidated speaking with the teacher. Oftentimes they would really enjoy speaking with you so that they can give you the best of what you're looking for your practice as well. You know, if it's your first time, tell them it's your first time. Tell them you're excited. If it's not, tell them, you know, what a little bit of your experience is, or if you practice every day or you practice intermittently. It's definitely a good thing to know for you and for the teacher. Also, if you have any injuries, the teacher will definitely want to know so they can recommend variations for you or props. You know, like if you told me you had a knee injury and I knew that we would be on them a lot, I would recommend some blocks and I would give you a blanket so that we wouldn't irritate your injury more. The teachers want you to come back. They want you to have just as good of an experience in their class and in their studio as you want to. So once you're there, if you're able to, soak up that atmosphere, soak up the feeling, but also see if you can't just meet with that teacher and get the real feel and also see how you two can work together that day. So those are my top 5 tips for you for going to a new studio or starting to go to a studio for the first time. I hope you find them helpful. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me, but also you will get notifications of new postings. If there's anything you would like to see, please let me know. And I look forward to chatting soon.